right, so we're live. Oh, we already got someone in. All right, welcome back to WMAC Now with your host, Chuck Stevenson. Welcome to episode number 107 of the WMMA Scene Report, our regular show, going over everything in the world of the women's divisions of mixed martial arts. News, reviews, previews, rankings updates, you name it, we're probably going to go over it in this show. Anyway, we've got a big show coming up. It is a huge week for Asian women's mixed martial arts. Whether the shows are happening in Asia or the Asian fighters are fighting elsewhere, it is a huge week. That's why I dubbed this the Asian WMMA Takeover. So big focus going to be on the fights coming up. But before we get into that, let's start where we always do with the weekend results. So first up, we're going to last Friday, one Battleground 3, where Jenna Lynn Olsen defeated B. Nguyen via unanimous decision, allowing Olsen to climb to a record of 5-2, and Nguyen fell to 6-7. Now this win will excuse me. This win was supposed to put Olsen into a slot on One Empower tomorrow, which is a pre-recorded fight. She was supposed to take on Grace Cleveland in a tournament reserve bout for the One Atomweight World Grand Prix. Unfortunately, Grace Cleveland, excuse me, I'm having reflux. Fortunately, Grace Cleveland has been suffering from dizzy spells, and was supposed to see a neurosurgeon sometime this week. Wishing her the best in recovery. Hopefully, one finds something for Olsen in the meantime. Then moving along, also on Friday was Invicta FC 44, a new era. The first pay-per-view from one championship in quite a while. On a card opener at featherweight, Kayla Yontef defeated Carleen Chandler via TKO due to ground and pound, 3 minutes 13 seconds of the second round. Successful pro debut for Kayla Yontef. Meanwhile, Chandler fell to 0-1. And then at atomweight, Natalie Salcedo had a successful debut. Salcedo on the right there, defeating Katie Perez via unanimous decision. Like I said, Salcedo climbed to 0-1. Perez fell to 2-2. Very nice showing for Natalie Salcedo too. Very dominant in that fight. And also at atomweight, Marissa Messer-Valencia defeated Kaylee Saul via split decision. Valencia climbed to 4-1. Saul fell to 3-5. Nice job for Valencia. She took that fight on like a week's notice, came in there and defeated someone who had been preparing for it for a full camp. And then up at flyweight, Helen Peralta defeated Caitlin Sammons via unanimous decision. Peralta climbed to 4-2. Sammons fell to 3-2. Sammons was just too gun shy in this fight against someone like Peralta, who comes in ultra confident, swinging heavy leather. Then up on the main card at bantamweight, Serena De Jesus defeated Lauren Mueller via split decision. De Jesus climbed to 4-2. Mueller fell to 5-4. I don't know what the judge who saw it for Mueller saw that he would give it to Mueller. I just don't agree with that one. But very nice effort there by Serena De Jesus. Whereas Lauren Mueller, this is her first fight at bantamweight, and she does not belong up there. She needs to go back down to flyweight. Then at strawweight, Liz Tracy defeated Jodie Escobel via split decision. Tracy climbed to 6-4. Escobel climbed to 6-7. Tracy really took over in the second and third rounds. Escobel did really well in the first, though, but Tracy was just able to take over in the second and especially the third round. Then in a flyweight bout, Brogan Sanchez defeated Emily King via submission due to rear naked choke. 4 minutes, 28 seconds of the first round. Sanchez climbed to 7-2. King fell to 5-6. Now, Sanchez actually got penalized a point in the first round for a knee to the head of the grounded King, but it didn't matter because she got that finish within that round. So then in the co-main event, Tanisha Tennant defeated Lisa Verzosa via unanimous decision to claim the Invicta FC vacant bantamweight title. Tennant climbed to 4-1. Verzosa fell to 6-2. Excellent display of distance fighting by Tanisha Tennant. Just excellent display of distance fighting. Then in the main event, Emily Ducote defeated Danielle Taylor via knockout at 2 minutes 51 seconds of the first round to claim the vacant Invicta FC strawweight championship. Ducote climbed to 10-6. Taylor fell to 11-6. And if you haven't seen this one yet, and I don't know why you wouldn't have yet, but if you haven't, you got to watch this fight, or you got to at least look for the result. We are talking knockout of the year contender here. It's going to be hard to beat. I mean, I was immediately thinking of other recent knockouts, and I don't think they actually compared to this one. This one was just that sweet. So that was it for Invicta 44. Then on Saturday night, we had the UFC Fight Night. Barboza versus Chikadze had one ladies bout in the flyweight division. J.J. Aldrich defeated the late notice Vanessa Demopoulos via unanimous decision. Aldrich climbed to 10-4. Demopoulos fell to 6-4. Aldrich just way too much for Demopoulos at this point in their respective games. Also, Aldrich was a lot bigger. Demopoulos is a strawweight who had moved up to flyweight on short notice to take this fight and get signed to the UFC. Hey, good for you, Vanessa. You're in the UFC now. Now you got to go back down to strawweight because you do not belong at flyweight if J.J. Aldrich is that much bigger than you. All right, so that was it for this past weekend's fights. So let's move over into the fight news and fight announcements for this week. And most of them, not a whole lot, most of them belong to the UFC. By the way, we got 5 people watching. Please remember to hit that like button. But also, the chat is open. It's, well, I'm not really pointing at it, but the chat is open. So please feel free to speak up about anything. I'll usually wait till the end of the segment to get to the chat questions, but I will get to them. First up in the news, Summit FC 39 goes down November 6th. They've added a catchweight bout. Hannah Guy taking on Jennifer House. Now, if Hannah Guy sounds familiar to you, she is the young lady that defeated, what's her name? Valerie Loreda in Bellator via decision, handing Loreda her first loss. Of course, this is her reward. She's back down in the regionals. She is 3-1. She is taking on a lady in Jennifer Haas, who is making her pro debut and was 2-4 as an amateur. So, unfortunately for Hannah Guy, she beat Bellator star, and they sent her packing to the regionals. Which, you know what? For Bellator, that's actually nice, because usually you beat one of their the fighters they're pushing, one of their future stars in the making. They give you someone really tough in your next match. Like, it's almost like a punishment. Like, oh, you beat our star, so now we're gonna feed you to someone. Like, you were supposed to be the fish food, and you ended up eating the fish. Now we're feeding you to the sharks. So Hannah Guy actually getting off kind of lucky in this one. Anyway, UFC has an event planned for October 2nd, a fight night, and they added a flyweight bout. Antonina Shevchenko coming in 9-3, taking on Casey O'Neill, coming in at 7-0. Big step up for Casey O'Neill. Big step up here. But for Antonina, it's kind of the opposite. This is like her last chance to really show that she's good. I mean, if you got to beat these unranked fighters if you want to, stay up there in those rankings. So Antonina really needs to prove herself here against the unbeaten Casey O'Neill. Which, hey, if you can beat someone who has stopped her last 2 opponents, an unbeaten fighter who has stopped her last 2 opponents in the UFC, you can beat her. Boom. Your popularity is back up. So anyway, moving along, UFC also has a fight night planned for November 13th. They have 2 bouts planned here. First up is a flyweight bout between Andrea Lee and Jessica Ai. And man, this is like desperation time for both of these ladies. Andrea Lee has not been doing good for a while. And, Jessica Ai at first seemed like she had found a new home for herself at flyweight. and was doing okay, but now she's just not doing so good. So both of these ladies really need a win here. So hopefully we'll see something exciting, because like I always say, when there's two fighters that desperately need a win, it can go one of several ways. Either both fighters really go at it, both fighters are really hesitant and don't want to do anything, or one fighter is hesitant while the other really wants to go at it. And hopefully it's, the first one I mentioned, where both fighters really go at it. Then also on that card is a featherweight bout between Felicia Spencer and Leah Letson. First fight booked in quite a while for Leah Letson. And I got to be honest, this is nothing against her, okay? Support to my fellow airmen and Leah Letson. She's a member of the Air National Guard, whereas I was active duty. But Leah Letson is on that Nico Montano status right now, where I will believe that she's fighting when she is in the cage and the door is locked. Up until then, it's hard to believe that she's actually going to fight. And that's nothing against her personally. It's just that she has not been making it to fights lately. And that's even when she can get a fight booked. Anyway, I don't want to stay on that. So let's move along here. UFC 268 goes down November 6th at Madison Square Garden in New York City, New York. They added 2 bouts. I both talked about these previously. First up at bantamweight is Jermaine Darandami taking on Irene Aldana. And then in the co-main event, strawweight championship, Rose Namajunas versus Weili Zhang 2. Excuse me. Like I said, I've talked about these fights before. You can go check out other videos where I basically said GDR versus Aldana is okay. I like it. Whereas I feel like UFC is screwing over Carla Esparza with regards to the rematch between Rose versus Zahn, and I already went over why they're doing that fight. And then Brave Combat Federation 54 goes down September 25th in Poland. It's the farthest west they've ever been. Usually they're in the Middle East, but they're going to Poland now. And they booked a strawweight bout. Evelina Wozniak taking on Samin Kamal Bek. No surprise there. I saw earlier this week that Brave had announced their signing of Evelina Wozniak, who I believe is a KSW and Octagon veteran. So no surprise that they booked her right away. And then Bellator 269 goes down October 23rd in Moscow. They booked a flyweight bout. Irina Alekseeva taking on Stephanie Page. I'm not too familiar with either of them. Page was on the Bellator Paris card, if I remember correctly. And then Irina Alekseeva, I don't think I've seen any of her fights. And then final piece of news, this time we're staying with Bellator. Bellator 270 goes down October 1st in Dublin. They booked a strawweight bout. Danny Neelan coming in at 4-0, taking on Audrey Karouche coming in at 7-5 with 2 no contests. Neelan's a nice little strawweight, showing a lot of promise. She's taken a big step up here in Karouche, who doesn't have a stellar record, but is definitely Neelan's, I believe, her most experienced opponent yet. So Neelan, I think her last fight was outside of Bellator, but they kept her signed and let her go fight elsewhere, and they finally got her fighting for them again because they're going back to Europe. So that is it for the news. So let's talk about the rankings updates. So there aren't any actual updates for this week. Instead, what I wanted to talk about, because of the one Atomweight World Grand Prix this weekend, I want to talk about the Atomweight rankings. Angela Lee, of course, is the champion. Then you got Denise Zambawanga at 1, Monbo at 2, Aliona Rasohina at 3, Stamp Fairtex at 4, and Sahi Ham at number 5. All 5 of these ladies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, all 5 of these ladies will be fighting in the quarterfinals of the one Atomweight World Grand Prix tomorrow morning, Friday, September 3rd. Keep an eye out on YouTube, the One Super app, Bleacher Report. Keep an eye out for how to watch it, or you can go to onefc.com for how to watch it. So that's it for the rankings. I just wanted to go over those real quick because they could very well change after tomorrow. In fact, I suspect at least one of these rankings will change after tomorrow. So let's get into this weekend's fights. Like I said, it is the Asian WMMA Takeover, and we are starting in Singapore at One Championship Empower, the first all-ladies fight night for a major global promotion. Huge fight card here. First up, we're going to an Atomweight World Grand Prix alternate bout. Mei Yamaguchi taking on Meza Barba, or Julie Meza Barba of Brazil. Now, I did a full preview on the one Grand Prix, the full card. I also did the Grand Prix bouts and the main event in individual previews. So if you want to go check those out, please go do so after the stream. And because I went into full detail there, I'm just going to go over these fights real quick, maybe go over a couple little details, and then talk about who I'm going to pick. So for this fight, this is an alternate bout. The winner gets to fight in the Grand Prix should anybody get injured or have to drop out due to whatever. I'm going with Mei Yamaguchi on this one, just because I know nothing, or next to nothing, about Julie Meza Barba. Here's what I was able to find on here. I found like a 40-second highlight clip. And all I saw of her was that she throws big looping punches that happen to land very hard. Now, that could work against Mei Yamaguchi, but, I mean, she's way experienced. Unless age has truly caught up to her, then there's no reason she should be able to beat the already twice beaten Julie Meza Barba. Then we move into the actual Grand Prix quarterfinals. First up, it's Ki Hirata taking on Elise Anderson. Anderson, the elder fighter, and also has a nice reach advantage and more experienced fighter as well. Is she really only 5-1? No. Oh, yeah, she is. So I picked Itsuki Hirata entirely because of the long layoff for Elise Anderson. Had Anderson not been coming off this long layoff, I feel like I'd know more about her, or I feel like I could make a stronger argument for her to win. That said, I think people are majorly overlooking her in this fight. She might be the single biggest underdog in this tournament right now, and that's just because so many One Championship fans don't know anything about her because they don't watch Invicta FC, which is where most of Anderson's fights have come from. But I'm telling you, do not sleep on Anderson, because if it weren't for that long layoff, I'd have picked her to win. I just think that Hirata has been given nothing but favorable matchups in one. Then to the second Grand Prix quarterfinal bout, Mung Bo taking on Ritu Phogat. The one thing that surprised me about this fight was that Phogat's the elder fighter by 2 years, 27, to Mung Bo's 25. Mung Bo's been fighting for a lot longer than Phogat is. And yeah, she's just been fighting for a while, and I was very surprised to see that she's only 25. But also, like I said, way more experience, 17-5. That's over 20 fights by the time she's 25 years old, compared to Phogat, who has 6 fights within the last 2 years. I'm picking Mung Bo to win this one. Like I said in my preview, it's all about the takedown. Can Phogat get him, and can she keep getting them? I don't think she can against Mung Bo. I think Mung Bo will come in here with some good takedown defense. And then she's got to light Phogat up on the feet. So I'm taking Mung Bo. Then in the third, excuse me, Grand Prix quarterfinal bout, Aliona Rasahina taking on Stamp. I picked Rasahina to win this one. I think I'm probably one of the only people outside of her camp to pick her on this one. And it's because she won the last fight. She finished Stamp. And Stamp has not been doing all that, excuse me, in her recent fights. Now, was she winning the fight up until the submission? Yes, I did have her ahead on my cards. Was Stamp dominating the fight before then? No, it was not domination. She was winning. She was ahead. But it was not nearly the domination that other people like to think it is. Now, what Rasahina needs to do here, she needs to take her time with those submissions, because she caught Stamp in multiple submission attempts last time. And if she slows herself down a little bit, she should be able to get it. That said, this is probably the one I'm least sure on, just because, like I said, Stamp was probably going to win before that last second submission in the first fight. But that said, I'm sticking with Rasohina because she got the finish last time. Then the fourth and final Atomweight World Grand Prix quarterfinal bout. Number 1 ranked Denise Zamboanga taking on 5th ranked Sahi Ham. Of course, big age difference here as well, 34 to 24. It's the biggest age difference in this tournament, I believe. Yeah. Also, huge experience difference here. Huge experience difference here. Especially when you consider out of Denise Zamboanga's 8 wins, only 2 opponents actually have wins on their record at the time Denise faced them. So this is Denise's biggest test to date. That said, I'm picking Ham. Even if Ham wasn't my favorite female fighter, I'd still be picking her. She has been doing so well ever since her ill-fated UFC run. Now, she's moving back up in weight for this one from 105 to 115, but I'll tell you what, she is looking jacked. And after seeing the face-off, I was worried that Zamboanga was going to be much bigger than Ham, but seeing the face-off photos, which I'll see if I can bring it up here in a second. But after seeing the face-off photo, I am a lot more confident in Ham. I'm going to bring up this photo here real quick of their face-off. Here we go. So there they are. I mean, Zamboanga might be a little bit wider than Ham, but really not all that big. Oh wait, I'm gonna do it over here. Here's the other one. Here's the other face-off photo. Kind of hard to tell because Ham's wearing baggy clothes, but yeah, I feel a lot more confident in Ham after seeing these photos. Zamboanga doesn't really look any bigger. She might be like a little bit thicker. That doesn't always mean anything. So, and I just got to go with the serious experience factor here and go with Sahi Ham to win. And then finally, in the main event of One Empower, the 125-pound championship, what one calls strawweight, between Seong Jin-nan and Michelle Nicolini. I think they're 2 of the eldest fighters on this card, 39 to 33. I mean, Nicolini is definitely the eldest fighter fighting tomorrow morning. Bit of a height differential in favor of Seong. I'm picking Seong to win this one. I think she can survive the early ground fight attempts by Nicolini, and then Nicolini is going to end up gassing because Seong is really durable and she's very tough to submit. So I'm taking Seong to win by outlasting Nicolini early and then putting her away, likely putting her away in the 3rd or later rounds. So that is it for One Championship Empower. Kelly Huff in the stream. Kelly says, I gotta think Stamp gets revenge and redeems the loss. That is definitely the most popular notion. And like I said, that is the shakiest pick for me in that card is my pick for Rasohina. So anyway, moving along to Saturday. Or no, I'm sorry, also on Friday, Combate has an event. Combate Global has one ladies bout at a 110-pound catchweight. Jade Durand taking on Gloria Bravo Barrios. Durand coming in at 0-1, coming off a loss on her pro debut in Bellator 10 months ago. She's the girl that unfortunately fell victim to the Scorpion Crunch. And then Barrios coming in at 4-5. She's coming off a loss to Anna Palacios a little over a month ago. Before that, had a win over Paulina Granados over 2 years ago. So she's only had one fight in quite a while. Huge age difference here. 35 for Barrios on the right. Durand is 20. So 15-year age difference. Major. And according to Tapology, and I don't know if Durand is wearing heels. I don't know if she's up on her toes. I don't know what's going on. But according to Tapology, Barrios is 5 feet 5 inches, 165 centimeters, to Durand's 5'2", 157 centimeters. I got to go with the more experienced fighter here. Granted, she's only had one fight in the last two years, and it was a loss. But I got to go with Barrios to win this one. Durand, she's good on the feet, very good on the feet. But if this goes to the ground at all, and Barrios does have at least one win by submission, if this goes to the ground at all, she's going to be in some trouble. So I'm going with Barrios to win this one. So then we move on to Saturday, and we move to the second all-ladies event this weekend. So in 2 weekends, we've had 3 all-ladies events. Now, this one is Deep Jewels 34. Deep Jewels is the all-female mixed martial arts promotion out of Japan. If you're not familiar with it, this one you can watch on Saturday morning. It'll be available via pay-per-view. I will put a link up in a community post when I'm done with this. But keep an eye out for it in case you decide to watch it. I believe there's 6 MMA bouts on this card. Bit of a recovery event for Deep Jewels here. Their last one, Deep Jewels 33, amazing fight card. Had the semifinals and finals of the Atomweight Grand Prix. Had a strawweight championship bout. This one, no title belts or anything, but just a recovery. So first up, we have Tia taking on, or Tae Murayama taking on POCHAN Z. Now, Tia coming in at 1-0, POCHAN Z coming in at 0-1. And this, by the way, this bout is at lightweight. So Tia coming off a win 2 months ago. POCHAN Z coming off a loss 2 months ago. No real stats available for either fighter on Tapology other than POCHAN Z stands 5 feet 6 inches, 167 centimeters. Your guess is as good as mine on this one. I think we're going to take Tia. She is the smaller fighter because her last fight was, I believe, at bantamweight. Yeah, she fought at 58 kilograms. That's 127.9 pounds. Wow. So she's really moving up in weight for this one. But still, POCHAN Z is just not very good. So I'm going to go with the smaller fighter, Tia, on this one. And good luck to her because she's taking on a big fighter. Then we move to a microweight bout. 97 pounds. 97 pounds. Aya Murakami taking on Kyoka Chibisai. Murakami coming in at 1-0. Kyoka coming in at 0-1. So one fighter is looking to get their second win. The other fighter is looking to get their first win. Murakami last fought 9 months ago, whereas Kyoka just fought a little over 2 months ago. I have no other stats available for Kyoka. Murakami stands 4 feet 11 inches, 150 centimeters, and is 29 years old. And from what I've been told, Kyoka is like the smallest fighter in Deep Jewels history. She's like 4'10", I think. She's really small. And yeah, just really, really small. So that's why this is at microweight, 97 pounds, which is a real division in Deep and Deep Jewels. So keep an eye out for this one. Then at strawweight, Tomoko Inoue taking on Eru Takebayashi. Both fighters coming into their... Actually, technically, this is Takebayashi's third official fight. Inoue coming in at 0-1. Lost her pro debut via TKO a year and a half ago. Takebayashi just fought 2 months ago. winning via unanimous decision. Before that, had a won by like a no contest. So let's see. No age available for Inoue. Takebayashi is 18 years old. She is the shorter fighter here, 5'3", 160 centimeters, whereas Inoue stands 5 feet 8 inches, 173 centimeters. So 5-inch height advantage there for Tomoko Inoue. I'm trying to remember Inoue's last fight. Wasn't particularly good. Must not have been very memorable. So I'm going with Ero Takebayashi here. She seems like she's very aggressive and seems technically sound for such a young fighter. So I'm going to go with her. Then there is going to be a submission grappling tag team battle. Hikaru Ono, Emi Tomomatsu, the current strawweight champion Seika Izawa, and retired MMA fighter Mika Nagano are all going to be taking part in this grappling match. Now, the teams are going to be decided the day of. Like, they're going to go into the cage and draw to decide who's going to team up with who. And it's going to be like 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, and then they will pick to do who does the third round. So it's going to be like 3 by 10, I believe. That's how this goes. So don't know who's going to face off against who in this grappling bout. Then we have a flyweight bout for the co-main event. Mikiko Shimizu, a.k.a. Miko Nirvana, taking on Kate Lotus Oyama. Take a look at the stats here. Miko Nirvana coming in at 2-1. Kate Lotus coming in at 1-1. Both ladies coming in off a loss in their last bout. Miko Nirvana lost to Yukari Nabe 5 months ago. Before that, had a win over Mika Arai. Kate Lotus coming in off of a loss to Namiko Kawabata 5 months ago. Before that, had a win over Marina Kumagai. Nirvana is the elder fighter by 4 years, 27 to 23 for Kate Lotus. Kate Lotus 1 inch taller, 5 feet 5 inches, 164 centimeters to Nirvana's 5'4", 163 centimeters. So both fighters are relatively inexperienced here. I got to go with Miko Nirvana. She's been training longer, has more fights to her name, and seems slightly more consistent. Kate Lotus, Deep Jules really wants to push her because, I mean, you can see she's pretty. She's good looking and very active on social media. So they need someone like her to do well. But I just don't think she gets by Miko Nirvana here. I mean, she could prove me wrong. And if she does, great. It's great for her, great for Deep Jules as a whole. But I just don't see it happening. Then in the main event, Mizuki Furuse taking on NISSE, Mizuki Oshiro. Furuse coming in at 7-7. NISSE coming in at 2-4. Not the greatest records here, but both fighters are very popular. Now, Furuse, she's 7-7. She has 14 pro fights to her name. She's only 20 years old. NISSE is 25. Both fighters coming in off of losses in their last bouts. Furuse to Kana Asakura a year ago. No shame in losing to Kana Asakura. That was a rising fight. Whereas Oshiro has lost her last 3. Most recently lost to Hikaru Ono at Deep Jules 33 2 months ago. Furuse is the taller fighter. 5'2", 157 centimeters to 4'11", 151 centimeters for Oshiro. No reach available for NISSE. Furuse's reach is listed at 63.8 inches, 162 centimeters. So Furuse hasn't fought in a while. And that's because she got married and had a kid during the, when the COVID, when everything was shut down. So she hasn't been able to fight for a while. And she was a finalist in the Deep Jules microweight tournament to crown their initial champion. She's supposed to fight Amp the Rocket in the finals and couldn't. So, yeah, this is her first fight back. But I'll tell you what, she looks to be in great shape. And Mizuki Oshiro, NISSE, she's had that one good win against Satoko Shinashi, which is phenomenal because Shinashi was like, what, 38, 3-2 at the time? So really good job of her to beat Satoko Shinashi, but just hasn't done anything since then. So I got to go with Mizuki Furuse here to win. And she's another one that Deep Jules is trying to push. I guess she was part of a reality show for like a very short period of time. Yeah, she was like a reality show contestant, like a fighting reality show. So most likely it's going to be Mizuki Furuse to win this one. So that's it for Deep Jules 33. Also on Saturday, moving over to South Korea, we have Road FC 59, which should be free on YouTube very early in the morning. We're talking like 5:30 a.m. start, maybe even 4:30 a.m. on the East Coast. Has two ladies bouts. First up, a minus 53 kilogram catch weight bout. Let me see here, which is about 117 pounds. Yujin Shin, or Shin Yujin, taking on Lee Eunjung. Shin coming in undefeated at 3-0. Lee coming in at 1-2. She won her last bout after losing her first two. Tapology doesn't list any stats for Lee. I think she's around 25, 26 years old. No idea on her height, whereas Shin is only 17 years old. That's right, she is 3-0 at only 17 years of age. And she stands at 5 feet 2 inches, 157 centimeters. I got to go with Shin here. She has all the momentum. Now, granted, neither lady has fought recently. Lee on the right-hand side there last fought a year and 2 months ago. Yujin Shin last fought 9 months ago. But Shin has all the momentum coming into this fight. I mean, she's younger. She seems like the hungrier fighter. She seems like the more well-put-together fighter, both striking-wise and with her groundwork, her jiu-jitsu. So I got to go with Shin Yujin here to stay undefeated. But good luck to Lee Eunjung as well. Then in the co-main event, Atomweight Championship, vacant Atomweight Championship. This was the title that was formerly held by Sahi Ham. Now we got Park Jun-un taking on Shim Yuri in a rematch. Last time these two fought was against each other back in December of 2019. Park won that one via TKO in the second round. So first fight for either of them in a year and 8 months. And now it's for the title. Let's see. Shim, the elder fighter, 27 to Park's 24. Now get this. Shim, as far as I can tell, is the tallest active atomweight on record at 5 feet 6 inches, 168 centimeters to Park's 5 feet 2 inches, 158 centimeters. So I went back and watched their first fight, and I watched my preview for this fight too, and it did not go off anything like I thought it would be. You know, a lot of time in Shim's fights, you see her close up in the clinch fighting, and I thought that's what she would seek to do here. But apparently she only gets into the clinch because her opponents start rushing her. Whereas Park is more of an outside fighter, and Shim was content to stay on the outside and really stifled Park at first with her reach and her length in the first round. Park just could not get inside to really land. And Shim kept her at bay with kicks. Second round, Shim threw a kick to the body that Park was able to catch, and then drove her to the cage and just muscled Shim to the ground, and then muscled her way over into mount and just laid down some hellacious ground and pound, giving Park the win via second round TKO. And I think that is going to haunt Shim to this day. Shim's problem is that her Team Genius, is primarily a striking-only gym. They have no mats on their floor. They don't have any mats on the wall. All they have really is a ring to work in, which is not good for cage simulation. So if Park can get inside and get Shim down to the ground again, it's going to be lights out for Shim. And I think this fight is largely going to be a repeat of the first fight. So I'm going to go with Park Jun-un by TKO to become the new Road FC Atomweight champion. either way, I can't wait to watch this fight again. I liked it the first time because the way it played out just really surprised me. And I like both of these young fighters. I've watched them since their pro debuts and watched them grow up. I mean, got 7, 6, and 1, 5 and 3, so 8 fights, taking on what, 14 fights. Hopefully, Road FC keeps them more active going into 2022 because almost 2 years in inactivity was entirely too much for these young ladies who are both pretty talented. It's just like the biggest problem for Shim is the lack of real ground game if she gets taken down, and Park sometimes she takes too many fights too close together. So that's Road FC 59. Should be able to find that one on YouTube for free. Then we move over to Abu Dhabi, still in Asia. Abu Dhabi for UAE Warriors 22 has one ladies bout at flyweight. Corinne Laframboise taking on Ellen Auberg. This one really snuck up on me. I totally forgot this fight was going down. Laframboise, the more experienced fighter, 6-4 to Auberg's 3-1. But I'm taking Ellen Auberg to win here. I like the way she beat Malin Hermansen a year ago. The more experienced Malin Hermansen. Both of them technically have wins over Malin, but Auberg really surprised me in that fight. So I'm taking Ellen Auberg to win. And then finally, on Saturday night in the U.S., UFC Fight Night, Brunson versus Till. We're down to only one fight for the ladies in the flyweight division. Ji-yeon Kim taking on Molly McCann. Fire Fist taking on Meatball. Kim coming in at 9-3-2. McCann coming in at 10-4. Both fighters are coming off of losses in their last fight. Kim to Alexa Grasso a year ago. McCann to Lara Procopio 6 months ago. Both are the same age, 31 years. Looks like Kim is 6 months the elder. Kim has the height advantage here. 5 feet 7 inches, 170 centimeters to McCann's 5 feet 4 inches, 163 centimeters. Kim has the reach as well. 10-inch reach advantage. 72 inches, 183 centimeters to 62 inches, 157 centimeters for McCann. So that's how many, 26 centimeters? That's a huge reach advantage for Kim here. Anyway, my pick is going to be the Fire Fist, Ji-yeon Kim. I was listening to the MMA Vivisection over on Bloody Elbow's YouTube channel earlier, and, I think they said it best. Kim is far more consistent as a fighter, and that's why I'm going with Kim here. The biggest problem with Kim, though, is that she doesn't throw nearly as much as McCann, and McCann will likely be the one coming forward. So if McCann is coming forward and outlanding Kim to the point where Kim's counter punching isn't enough to really outweigh the volume of McCann, that could be a big problem for her. But anyway, I'm still going with Ji-yeon Kim to win this one here. I think she's just an all-around better striker. I'm not too worried about this one going to the ground, but McCann's okay. She's gotten a lot better. Kim's ground game is actually a bit underrated just because she rarely goes to the ground. But I'm going with Ji-yeon Kim here. Plus, she's been training at a really good camp for this one over at Syndicate in Las Vegas. So really stepping up in her game. So that is it for the weekend preview. And that honestly is it for the stream. So one chat here from Robert Lafrano. Grand Prix starts 12 a.m. Eastern time. No, not nearly that late. Or not nearly that early. The main card in the U.S. starts at events. I'll pull it up real quick here. How to watch. So the fight card actually starts at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. So 7:30 a.m. on the East Coast. 4:30 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. So a lot later than, it's not nearly that early. All right, so that is it for really this coming weekend. So I don't really have anything else, but like I said, big, huge weekend for women's MMA in Asia, across Asia, for women coming from Asia. Just absolutely, like I said, it is the Asian takeover. And that's why I decided to dub it that. Yeah. It's the Asian WMMA takeover this weekend. You got One Empower, all-female card. First ever for a big, huge, major promotion. Then you got Deep Jewels the next day, all-ladies fight card. A championship, second championship going on at Road FC also on Saturday morning. So you got 2 ladies championship bouts this weekend. You got the Grand Prix quarterfinals at 1. Then you got a ladies bout in the UFC. And plus you got Combate, UAE Warriors. I think KSW has 2 ladies bouts. I decided to not go over them because I wasn't really familiar with any of them. But I think they have 2 ladies bouts as well. KSW over there in Poland, if you want to check that out. But didn't go over that for this one. So anyway, we've got 10 people watching right now. Please remember to hit that like button. If you haven't yet subscribed to WMMAC Now, we are, honestly, I make no bones about it. I truly believe when I say that this is the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. I cover more fights than any other channel. I cover more promotions. I have a bigger variety of topics. I have more segments. You know, I'll go over old fights, you know, vintage fights. I'll talk about, you know, classic fighters, fight reviews, fight previews, the news, you name it. I'm talking about it on this channel. And I've got more in the works too. Started doing more. I just did my first real fighter interview week before last. Of course, I've done a couple in-person interviews in the past before, but hopefully once I can start going to events again, we'll get some more of those in. Going to try to get some more interviews as well. I'm trying to bring on someone to do like fight breakdowns, like actual like skill breakdowns or technique breakdowns, particularly grappling. Because you go to a lot of MMA channels that do like analysis, it's almost all striking because there are a lot more people doing MMA breakdowns that come from a striking background than grappling background. Now, I have a wrestling background way back in high school. I did a little bit of jiu-jitsu before I entered the service, and that was years ago. So trying to find someone that can come down and really do some good like ground fighting breakdowns videos. So lots of plans to keep on expanding. So anyway, like I said, hit that like button, like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you know when I go live. And Kelly Huff says one will be a lot of fun. I agree, Kelly. I was hoping to do a live fight companion, but unfortunately I could not get the morning off of work. Oh well, that's the breaks. I'm still going to be watching at work, so. So that's all I really have. So have a good night, everyone. Enjoy the fights. If you do not already and you have Twitter, follow me on Twitter at NowWMMA. I will be doing live tweet updates for results and everything. If you don't mind spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, then stay away from my Twitter tomorrow and the next day. But have a good night, everyone.